everybody. I'm Sybil Wilkes. Welcome to our YouTube Live and what you need to know. This is where we talk about all of the issues, all of the topics, all of the stories that we cover in the What You Need to Know newsletter. What is the What You Need to Know newsletter? Well, it is what we started as we were coming to the end of the Tom Joyner morning show before he decided to dump us and leave us for the sunny shores of Miami. We have learned
You
from
can
the
choose
best.
a better word, can't you?
You dumped us. You dumped us. Just like a long-term love affair, and then you just said, "I'm out."
Dang.
But what I did learn from this man, who you just heard and now you see, is that we are still here in his footsteps and what he taught us to talk about the issues that are of substance, are of importance to the African American community. And we learned from the best over these many years in which we were a part of the Tom Joyner Morning Show. And that's how we came to have the What You Need to Know newsletter. And every day we choose 5 topics, 5 stories that you need to know about. And today we talk politics always because obviously politics is something that is so very important to me, but it is also necessary that we talk about it in this very important year of 2020. And in light of all the things that have happened in just 5 short months, Lord knows we have these conversations that we need to be had. So we talk about politics, we talk about the issues and things that have happened in the African American community. And one of the topics that we're talking about over the next 2 weeks are about the Divine Nine, the African American sororities and fraternities that are so very important and vital in our communities. And today our feature is on Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. And as a result of that, we are asking all of the members who are watching us today to go and subscribe to the What You Need to Know newsletter. If you go to SybilWilkes.com, that's Sybil like the crazy girl, Sybil, Wilkes like John Wilkes Booth. That's the best way to describe it, everybody. I'm sorry. SybilWilkes.com. Give us your name and your email address, and we will have those What You Need to Know newsletters in your email box every morning, first thing. And as Tom Joyner can attest, it comes, and when we finally get it to him, finally got his email address, because I think he was blocking us for a while. But at any rate, you go to SybilWilkes.com, give us your name and your email address, and we will have that in for you every weekday morning, Monday through Friday. And as I said today, we feature the wonderful organization of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority. And with that, I say hello and welcome to Dr. Glenda Glover. How are you?
Oh,
it's so
great.
good to see you.
How are you? It's wonderful. I've missed talking to you. It's good to see you and speak with you again.
Thank you so much. And Tom Joyner, your head
Yes.
cheerleader. Hello,
That's
Tom
right.
Joyner.
That's right. Dr. Glenda,
All right, all right.
Tennessee State,
That's
Big
right.
Blue.
That's right.
My shameless background.
Yes.
For those that don't know, not only are you the president, international president of the Women of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, but you are the president of Tennessee State University. And you're wearing a lot of hats, my friend, and doing it well. And under these incredible conditions, how are things going, Dr. Glenda?
They're going, and we're having, it's a challenge, as it is with many places and many individuals in organizations, not just those who run the organization, but those who participate in any aspect of organizations. Right now is a challenge with getting everything done on time, with limited resources, and in a virtual world, which we live. So, but we've managed. You want something done, you must give it to a busy person.
And give it to a really good woman who knows how to handle it all.
When are you going to open the school?
Well, we're just hoping and praying for August. Only if it's safe. If it's not safe, we have to go to plans B or C. But right now we are planning for mid-August, and perhaps an early let out in November. we're thinking around Thanksgiving. That's the conversations that we're having across the board. Where there's no decisions been made yet with any of the schools. We just have several scenarios.
So if a student had to leave before the semester was over, you come back in August, and there's a new semester. How's that supposed to be financed? Will they get credit?
But that's exactly what happened. They left in mid-semester. They left in March.
Right.
We had to go online. We had 48 hours essentially to get everything online.
Wow.
But the good news is that and each course has a shell already that they must start with. And we just dropped the course in it. I'm oversimplifying it. But the students, even though they had their cell phones and smartphones, that was enough for this kind of interaction like we're having now. They can talk and meet by Zoom, but they couldn't do their papers and the models they have to do. So they needed devices. And so that's what became an issue, trying to get funds together for devices and the technology, because some were in areas where there was no connectivity. So we got the CARES Act funding, which helped a lot, helped substantially. But we had to refund students their money, because if they're not there, we have a contract. If we don't care about the terms of the contract, then we have to refund some of the money. That's what we had to do the last few weeks.
So the money that you got obviously was going for the betterment of the students and the university, but to have to refund money and all of and you're a finance woman, so you understand how this all works, but that's just got to be mind-boggling to go through this.
It is. Once you book it as revenue, you depend on that for the semester.
Yes.
You need to come back now and give refunds for the housing, because they no longer were living on campus in the residence hall, so they had to get refunded for that. And then they weren't eating in the cafeteria anymore, so they had to get refunded for at least those two things. So we had to send them an actual check.
Wow. You couldn't give them credit on next semester.
If they elected to have it for next semester, we didn't stop it.
Right.
But, by and large, most students needed money. You go home, just think of this new household you're in.
Yeah.
With the family, the mother and the father, or whomever is in charge of the household. Now have another mouth to feed.
Right. I bet they were not happy for that. They needed that money to come back then.
Either in Nashville, now they're back home. So anytime you have those new situations, those are new scenarios.
Right.
So they need their funding. So they didn't need a credit. They needed a check.
Right. That's the real. We are talking to Dr. Glenda Glover, and she is president of Tennessee State University, as well as the president of the Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority. And so we are talking about what's going on in your world right now in terms of Tennessee State. And how are you in the process of bringing the students back? We talk about that, but also recruiting the new students. How is that working in the midst of a coronavirus pandemic?
Fortunately, the students have been in a virtual world much longer than we have.
Right.
They grew up, they started with Game Boy and Playboy, so they understand it much better. It's just that in a higher education environment, we can't compromise their education. So we have to make sure they have exactly what they need. If you're in rural areas and you don't have the connectivity, then that's an issue. But they had to adjust to it, just like many faculty and staff had to adjust to it. And we made sure we did some more liberal grading policies this semester. We allowed the pass-fail choice as an option. If you obviously had an A, you don't want to pass-fail.
Right. Where you were in that semester, yeah.
But there were some who just elected to do just to take a pass in the course, as opposed to a C or a D. And so, because that doesn't affect your GPA, you get the hours, you get counted for the hours credit for it, but it doesn't get counted to the GPA calculation. So that we hope that could help some of the students who were struggling during the semester.
And what about the students that are graduating from high school that you're bringing to Tennessee State? Are things changing in terms of that and the kind of conversations that you're having in terms of getting the students to campus?
Yes, we have virtual activities. We have virtual orientations, virtual meetings with parents. we call the students together in groups and meet with them like we're meeting now, and they've adjusted to this. And of course, it's not the same as talking to them face to face. And
of course,
I'm driving to Memphis and meeting with some of the top students there. And last year we went to Memphis and brought back a student who was homeless because they put him in a TSU.
wow.
So we can't do any of that right now. So we missed that hands-on, that touching. But we're still moving forward. And we play with the hand been dealt. If you don't have if you have a five low, you can't be at a bar.
Go ahead, Dr. Glenda.
And students and their struggle is only one side of the of the whole thing. What about faculty and staff? Are you going to keep all your members?
Well, that's exactly it. Well, right now we are the CARES Act funding did help a lot to bring in some of the technology that we needed. So we don't have any plans to lay off anybody right now. We're just managing through. We can stop spending. We can cut out some below the line items. But in this time, most people need their jobs more than ever. So
right.
We're having a plan, having a massive layoffs.
Well, you know what? It's great to hear something positive coming out and somebody really who has received the funding from the CARES Act and is able to use it and do the good that we'd like to see done, through this political funding and through through all of this. So thank you for sharing that information because
it didn't come without a fight,
Okay.
We talked to Congress. We talked to our Congressional Black Caucus and those who we know are on the front lines fighting. So we stayed in touch and they stayed in touch and we got it done.
Did you have any members of the AKAs who were there fighting for you?
Yeah, a lot of them. Marshall Fudge, who's a Delta,
You all are working together. Yeah.
White line, When we need help, we call them. We don't say give an AKA who can get this done. Get this done for us. And so it happened. A lot of them were very helpful.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Everybody who was possible to assist in this, and we got it done. We're grateful for that. We're appreciative to the Black Caucus and the other members of Congress and the Senate who got it passed.
Yeah, because Tennessee, you guys are doing tremendous things on your campus at Tennessee State. So I can only imagine that the members of Congress wanted to help you and knew the good and wanted to keep that going, and especially as important as you are.
We are a land grant institution, and that helped us a lot. Being agricultural, having a focus, one of our focuses is being agriculture. But a tornado came in early March and wiped out our whole agriculture.
Oh my gosh, that's right. So yes,
we're working through that, and so it was a double whammy. But we did manage we started a COVID-19 Academy, which is I think a good thing for the community and for others because it's a resource-based academy as well as is intellectually based too because we provide resources and let you know where jobs are and where there's some food baskets and food organizations. But we also have app development and skill sets and learning soft skills and how to do certain things. So we're hoping this can really help the community having this COVID-19 Academy.
I bet it did. I think I can't imagine it not being beneficial to not only the campus, but to the community as well.
And that's our hope, because we're an integral part of the community. We're right in North Nashville. Mr. Joyner was there as our community speaker, and the students love it. I think the faculty
love it more.
Get his autograph, and I was right there too. Moving.
Did he leave you with a $5 bill by any chance that he's been famous for?
More than that, we appreciate it.
Good. Yeah, that foundation does good stuff. Good stuff. Right. Dr. Glover, we are talking about some of the issues that are going on, and as you have mentioned, some things that have affected you as president of Tennessee State, but also things that just affect our African American community. We're talking about the elections, of course, to this afternoon. our forever president, Barack Obama, took to the cameras and gave a speech regarding.
He was awesome. He was absolutely awesome.
So let me get your take on it. You say that it was awesome, and a lot of people were just, I got to give credit to my executive producer, because yesterday Tom Joyner reminded her that he had asked to get in touch with the Obamas and see about making a speech. And here we are today. He gave that speech before his organization. And what was your takeaway from that, Dr. Glover?
Well, I think he wanted to put, well, I tell you, they were taking bets of whether he's going to announce whether Michelle is going to be the running mate.
Oh, man. I think you and I probably both lost some money on that, huh?
A little bit of that, but it's just time to, it was time. I was glad to just hear his voice, hear from him, watch him, because he was great at the HBCU commencement.
Yes.
Great hearing him here today. My take is just that we need to hear some down to earth news about where we are. He didn't say to dismount everything I did, but there were some implications of what he had in his administration that would, as far as police brutality and some things that the Alpha Kappa Alpha is taking a strong stand on right now. As a matter of fact, we met we called together all the women organizations, the women, we have the AKs, the Deltas, the Sigma Gamma Rho's, Zeta Phi Beta, the Lynx, Girl Skins, Jack and Jill, Girl Friends, Jack and Jill, National College Negro Women. We called them all together, 13 of us. Wow. And we had a strategy meeting, and we issued a position paper. And now we're going to have a press conference and show the power of Black women. We're just going to move to the front and set this off.
Set it off. I love that. Well, let me just tell you, if we can do anything to help you here and what you need to know, please just let us know. We'd like to publicize it and to also be a part of that. That just sounds like something that's right up our alley here.
We definitely will call you. Kelly Sharp will give you a phone call or an email. We'll definitely get together. We appreciate it so much.
Thank you so much. And Tom, did you have an opportunity to listen to the president today?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay.
I didn't. I'm gonna watch it after we finish.
Yeah. MSNBC, I heard.
Yeah.
Missed it.
Yeah, a lot of the networks, it came through Obama.org, but a lot of the networks did play it, and so you won't be able to miss it after we get done here, I promise you. The one thing that I did, one of my takeaways from this was, not only was, as you mentioned, Dr. Glover, was it that kind of jab as to the things that they left for the next administration, as in terms of that 21st century task force, and talking about all of the things that they had tried to put into motion that had been dismantled in this administration, without naming names, without any of that. But he did talk to these young people and say, you're brilliant. And he always said you was kind, you was smart, but it was one of those things where he said, you are our future, and you are so good, and you're so passionate, and I don't want to see this, fall away by just taking a walk to the store, or taking a run, or even watching birds, and have all of this taken away from you. We want to work with you, and it's not a question of voting or protesting, right? And so he said it's an and. We vote and we protest, or we protest and we vote. However you want to look at it, it's together that you do this. And I hope that
that was a real good point that he made about that. But one thing I took away from that what he implied also is that this is a systemic function. This is systemic. Let's examine the root cause of why this is happening. Just like I told about the HBCUs and what's going on with COVID-19, it's a systemic problem. There's been years of neglect and discrimination, unfair treatment. And so if that's the case, let's take COVID-19 first. They say African Americans are dying at a higher rate because they have high blood pressure and diabetes and respiratory challenges. Well, if you have a healthcare system that locked out a whole category of people for many, many years, what do you expect to happen? You expect them to walk around with perfect hearts and perfect health because they've been discriminated against. There's been so much disparity in healthcare treatment for African Americans. So when this comes out, yes, it comes home to roots. The same for African American college, HBCU college, HBCUs. If we haven't had the right funding for years and years, all of a sudden there's a pandemic. Yes, it's going to affect us more because of the years of neglect. And that's what's been happening. That's why Alpha Kappa Alpha went forward with an HBCU for Life initiative, where we decided to give funds to every HBCU. We're going to have on each college campus, AKA HBCU endowment, because what HBCUs need is sustainability.
Yes.
And endowments, yes, that's money for scholarships for future generations. That's what it's all about. It's more than saying, okay, I want to attend HBCU, but I want to support an HBCU. I want to help market an HBCU. So that was one of my major platforms in my administration, is to ensure that we can have perpetuity for HBCUs. And the way you do that is help them raise money. And we decided, let's give $100,000 to every HBCU. We get $50,000 first. You prove to be a good student.
That's great.
So we called everybody to Chicago last year and gave 1/3 of the organization, 1/3 HBCUs, $50,000. Then this year we were going to do it at our Boulay, our meeting in July, but we to postpone that. So we're trying to reset that date. And then next year, the final third. So that's how I think you make a difference.
Yeah.
You market HBCUs, you talk about the good things going on. Yes, there's some things we wish we could take back for that. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with HBCUs that can be fixed with what's right with HBCUs.
Come on.
So I just love it. I love leading a big institution. Largest HBCU run by a female is Tennessee State University. And we're just having a good time,
One of the topics today, as I mentioned, for our What You Need to Know newsletter is about the women of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority. How did you find your way to Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, Dr. Glover?
It's at Tennessee State. When I got there, I was straight out of Memphis and didn't really know. I just know that I liked seeing the organizations and I studied them. And I had some influences in my life, but I knew that I wanted to do a lot of service projects. I knew service was part of my DNA. And so I appreciate the service projects they were doing, even when I was in college. And so I became a member, then became the chapter president. And just started working hard in the sorority. And I was initiated at Tennessee State University. Can you imagine this full circle moment for me to come back and be president?
Oh, awesome. Look at God. I mean, it's just like, you start there at Tennessee State, you start your whole sorority relationship with all your sisterhood there at Tennessee State. You come back, you're president of Tennessee State and the president of AKAs. That's just,
I tell you, it's no greater calling than when God calls you back home. And so I accept that call. So
that's awesome. That is so awesome. Tom, I know that you have history and you've always told us, and I know Dr. Glenda knows, but for those who don't know about your relationship with AKAs, the AKAs in your life.
My mama.
Your buddy.
Yes, my buddy.
He wasn't proper and say my mother.
No.
Who went to Tennessee State.
As a matter of fact, yeah.
She went to Tennessee State.
That's right.
She was AKA.
One of the residence halls named after her, the buildings named after her, one of our buildings named after her.
Is that awesome? Isn't that awesome? That's really cool. Tom, was your aunt an AKA?
Yes, one of my aunts was. Yeah.
Okay.
My Aunt Janet.
Oh, Aunt Janet. Yes.
Yeah.
You said Aunt Janet. You didn't say Aunt Janet.
Aunt Janet, right.
No, and I'm I'm not mistaken, I think my aunt Annie, who you named the building after,
Yeah.
I
Oh,
think she was AKA as
that was
well.
your aunt, yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow. So your relationship with Dr. Glover is not only through Tennessee State, but AKAs as well, and your love of that institution. I mean, your history just runs
And I
through
love
that.
Dr. Glenda Glover.
That's
Oh, how
right.
about that? Virtual round of applause. Yeah, Alpha Kappa Alpha loves Tom Joyner, and Tennessee State does too. So we appreciate
I don't have the number, but the AKAs have donated more than $100,000
yeah,
to the
the last
foundation
check
that
was
Mhm.
was given
$50,000.
to students
50,000
at
last year.
HBCUs.
25,000. It's been well over 100. You're right.
Well over $100,000.
So we just
Yeah.
we adopt. We say education. We're gonna support education. We really
Mhm.
mean that. I know what support means. Being a president, you know, and people, you know, pat you on the back and say, oh, "Atta girl." I don't need another atta girl. You know,
Uh-huh.
check. You know.
Gotta check. Well, I got to tell you, Dr. Glover, I have a lot of friends who are AKAs and also in my family, and they're very proud of their association with this great organization, with the sorority. And some of the things that you all are doing, not only talking about, getting the money to the schools and keeping HBCUs going and what have you, but some of the things that are going on right now, as you mentioned,
Yeah.
with the coronavirus and having the facility or that partnership right there on campus. But also your organization, the AKAs, are doing something in terms of
Yeah.
coronavirus
Well,
and
first, we're assist with coronavirus, but we did a real call to action with what's going on right now, what's precipitating all this. There's a lot behind the what's going on with all the unrest. Again, it's a buildup of what has happened in the past that's coming out, but we have strongly condemned the killings of Black men, Black women, our Black children. It's happened
Mhm.
too often. I mean, too many, too often. And so when you have policemen playing vigilante watchmen, and
Mm.
who will, as a lawyer, I know that the time you're apprehended, it ceases to be a risk. So
Yes.
you don't have to put a knee on a neck because you're thought not to be that risk anymore. This is a person unarmed. There were no hostages. But yet, you know, he was treated like those criminals. So we are
Right.
putting, so we're taking Senate to make sure we get police. We're gonna demand police reform.
Mhm.
Because we need some sweeping. We joined with the NACP and asking for some sweeping changes in police reform, prosecuting those officers.
Yeah.
You know, having a mandate, no zero tolerance mandate for those who killed unarmed, non-resisting citizens. Makes no sense. And then, you know, we should ban that kind of lethal. It's just when you got that lethal way you do things, those restraints should be banned in all 50 states.
Right.
Just that is just too much because you should decertify those officers or at least terminate those officers. It has to be easier to terminate officers and decertify them in their vein. And then secondly, we're saying let's participate. Once we talk about the police reform, let's go to the census, the 2020 census. You know, we must participate in the census. We
Right.
must. The success determines our representation in Congress, how much funds are allocated to our communities. So we have to be counted. So we urge people to go out, to participate in the census and get your family members and your community members to participate in the census. And then we're asking, there's a fourth thing, we're asking people to please participate in the Poor People's Campaign March on
Yes.
June 20th. Because it just represents those who've been discriminated against, those who've been unfairly treated, those who've been marginalized. And so that was turned out now to be a virtual march. And so we're asking all folks to come to that. And then, you know our Black business are hurting so bad. So we ask
Yes.
to support Black business. And then finally, we must vote like we have never voted before.
Mhm.
This is we've
Yeah.
joined in with Michelle Obama in the when we all vote campaign.
Right.
go out to vote. Let the voter engagement, voter mobilization, voter participation, that is so, so very important. So I tell people, no, we don't endorse individual candidates, but we do endorse individuals voting. So we must all go out to vote, because that's what's turned the tides in our
Yeah.
country.
Yeah.
We all
How
go
is how
vote.
is Nashville? Have they opened it up?
We're opening it up.
Oh yeah.
Where places
I
are
have
becoming
I haven't
safer.
seen y'all on the news for the
But
past few nights, have I?
there was a little
I've-
unrest here too.
oh yeah.
Yes, I think
On Jefferson?
it was downtown, but then they started coming down. Well, I got a call from policemen that said they're headed to Tennessee State to the campus. So we just make sure that we would be there to, but they didn't. So no one came. I guess they stayed downtown. But
And
it's
and
opening back up
Dr.
gradually.
Glover, I know that you all encourage your members also to be a part of the protest. If you are going out to be a part of this effort, either it's for against police brutality, or to do funding for one thing or another, and you encourage them to wear their AKA regalia,
They do
proudly.
ask. They
Yes.
do ask if they can wear paraphernalia. So we say yes, you can wear paraphernalia, but you don't speak in the name of Alpha Kappa Alpha. Alpha Kappa Alpha has only one spokesperson, that is the international president, and that happens to be me. And so I haven't delegated that to anyone in the marches to speak for Alpha Kappa Alpha. But in their individual capacity, they can do things, but they just can't represent AKA. But yes, they can wear that, wear paraphernalia. And we just say if something happens, if the worst case happens, then just go to safety.
Right.
Disperse immediately.
Right.
We just want to do is we're still saying we're in a virtual environment, and we don't want people to leave their homes. But many people are going to leave anyway. It's like telling a teenager, telling somebody, I said, don't have sex.
Right.
But if you want to have sex, do it the right way with, birth control or some other way. I'm just saying, so you can't just say no,
Right.
and expect it to just say no. But what you do is say, we don't want you to leave your homes, your places, but I know you really want to get out there and show your concern. So if you're going to do that, here's how you do it. Do it in a safe manner. Wear your mask.
Yeah.
Observe the social distancing. Just do it in a way so that you can stay alive. Because we're better off if you're alive than having someone else say, "Here's another person who has succumbed to COVID-19."
Yeah. Tom, I don't know if you had a chance to look at the newsletter today, and when Dr. Glover was talking about all of the things that are going on, but this is something that we are talking about in the What You Need to Know newsletter. And speaking of what's going on in terms of the protests and things, but one of the stories, and for folks who'd like to subscribe to the What You Need to Know newsletter, please go to sybilwilkes.com and give us your name and your email address, or you can click the link in the description box to subscribe to the newsletter and comment done when you are complete there. And that is, you can do that right now as you are watching us here. So I'd appreciate that. One of the things that, one of the conversations that's come about as a result of the protests, and that is Donald Trump declaring Antifa, or wanting to declare Antifa as a terrorist organization. And a lot of people are going, look, we got more important things to do than to declare them as a terrorist organization. But by the way, what is Antifa? So that's one of the things that we did to talk about in today's newsletter in terms of its history, a little bit of its history, how it came about from Europe during the time of Mussolini and Hitler, and it's an anti-fascist. Antifa is supposed to stand for anti-fascism, but now they're anti-everything. They're against democracy, they're against conservatism, they're against just about everything. But here's a really interesting thing, Dr. Glover and Tom, is that as they are coming about, and a lot of people are saying they're the ones who have promoted the violent aspect of the protest. And they have, you can usually tell by who they are by the dark clothes, the black, and wearing masks. Well, now a mask in this pandemic doesn't really, separate them from anybody else, because we're all trying to, or many of us are trying to stay safe as we go out. And so there are masks and things like that. But Antifa has been a part of a lot of the protests in this country, like Occupy Wall Street, or when NATO came to the country for their meetings and things like that. And so that's one of the things that we try to do. But we also talk about some of the local stuff. And I know you talked about not endorsing, Madam President, but you can't help but talk about the differences between the candidates. And one of the things that we talked about today was the different appearances that each candidate, the presumed Democratic candidate and the Republican candidate, their appearances in church on Monday.
Yeah, with the Bible, with or without the Bible.
Right. Was that a Bible, and could you not put it up right, so that we could see? And even if it wasn't yours, you told us that it was a Bible, but it was just really striking, the differences there. If you saw that, Madam President.
I did, and I don't question anybody's belief.
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not they're genuine in their efforts and what they're doing, because it could have been a genuine effort. I just don't know. And so I just don't comment on their beliefs and what they're trying to do now. I do know that, but I just leave it at that. I don't comment on that. But
Right. Okay. Tom, I know you're a man who is fond of bedside Baptist, but I was just wondering if you had any thoughts about them appearing in church on Monday.
I'm still waiting to hear what the Christian right has to say about what he did.
Well, Jerry Falwell, if I'm not mistaken, It was Jerry Falwell who came out and told Donald Trump that what he did Monday was not right. That the use of the military and the bullets and the tear gas and what have you, he made a pretty strong statement as far as statements go regarding that. Yeah, so
yeah,
it'll be interesting to see how it all falls out. But that was pretty much, and they're getting
that's
a lot
his
of
base.
Yeah.
That is his base.
Yeah.
They go along with anything and everything he says.
But the fact that Falwell spoke out against it says something, I think.
I have to say, we have to look for the candidate who best support the agenda of our communities. And
yes, ma'am.
And that is the best way to say that. And that doesn't name anybody or not name anybody. But it says you think about who best represents your interests, who's the one who's been faithful to our and who will carry forth the agenda.
Right.
That's who we should get behind.
And I think I can talk about a little bit about Killer Mike, the activist out of Atlanta. And, he's saying that we need to strategize and we need to plan and plot and plan and strategize and maximize all of this great intellect that we have as a people and work together to improve all of this, right?
And that's why I think the Black women organizations getting together, I mean, it makes a strong statement.
Yes.
Although we wear different colors, we have similar missions,
mm-hmm.
we have different activities, we have youth groups, we have different activities. However, we all recognize when something is unfair and unjust, even unethical. And so
mm-hmm.
we get together and we have a strong statement, and we're taking a stand on several things, especially the police brutality and some things we're asking them to do. Wear your cameras all the time. When it's set up a police review board, if a person, it's got to be easier to get rid of a person who has a record of this.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody has 17 or 18 counts of it, prior interest. Come on.
Yeah.
Why is that person still able? First of all, why is there so much policing in our communities like that anyway? What made them have that much contact with us in the first place? Why weren't you somewhere else that didn't have that much contact all the time
Mhm.
with the African American community to allow you to carry on the way you do. There's something wrong there. And why are you there? Why are you continually putting that kind of lethal force out there when it's not necessary?
Mhm.
There's just something wrong with that agenda. And why isn't it being looked into? Why must we come together and ask for some basics? You know, we the people cover so many things, but how can it leave this one particular point out that's so important to African Americans?
Yeah.
I mean, I have a legal as a lawyer.
I was gonna say, yeah, it's working. Yeah.
You know, and we the people covers all of that, all of us. It doesn't say we the people who make income over $300,000 a year. Not we the people who live in the right zip code, or we the people who live in the right census tract. It's we the people.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
we all ought to be subject to the same equal rights protection under that law, that same law. And so I struggle with that when I see it. And yes, you get angry. I grew up in a civil rights home, so I get angry when I see it. And so the anger has to be channeled in the right direction. So that's why we say in all the women organizations, we're getting together on this, because it doesn't make any sense. We're tired of it. We don't want to, it should have been 6 years ago. It should have been it that I can't breathe.
Right.
Now it comes back again.
Right.
Martin Luther King said this in 1968. I didn't know what he meant then, but I know now. When he said, "There's some different days ahead." When he said that then, I said, "Oh, what's he talking about?" I mean, I was a little child, little girl. What is he talking about?
Mm-hmm.
There's some different days ahead. I know what he meant. You're going to have some issues in Washington. You're going to have issues in the street. They're going to have some I can't breathe. They're going to come back 6 years later with the same thing. These are some indeed difficult days that he talked about.
Right. Dr. Glover, you're talking about some of these, what you're doing with all of the sister organizations. I love all of your programs, and I especially love AKA's LEAD.
Yes.
Learn, educate, empower, and decide. How did that come about?
Through our connections committee and connection, we have a social justice component, and Ms. Rosalind Brock. You may know her. She was a former, in fact, she's chairman emeritus NACP board, and she's young and dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
Just came up with it, and we just adopted it. I guess I should take credit for it, because I'm the leader of the organization.
Their national president, yes.
Me,
That's great. But I love the use of the acronym, and I love that it is just such an important part of what we need to do this year, especially. But throughout our time, but definitely as you're going into this very, very special election year, or we're now in it actually.
Are the AKAs having their convention this year?
No.
No.
It has been rescheduled. We were trying to reschedule it for January to have in conjunction with our Founders Day.
Mm-hmm.
But then we're hearing that there'll be another, COVID-19 may return in December, January, even as early as November. And so we want to just avoid that risk.
Yeah.
So we're looking at combining it next year with our leadership conference.
Yeah.
I really do hate that. Really, I mean, for a different reason, for a personal reason. It'll be my first time to preside over our national meeting.
Oh, wow!
A business meeting. We've had a leadership meeting, but a business meeting, and I was really looking forward to my first boule. But
that's okay. You know what? It will happen. Everything.
But I'd rather live.
Amen. Right. Right. So there are several people who that we would be remiss if we did not acknowledge as wonderful members of your organization. April Kelly Drummond, who is our partner at Denny's.
Yes, at Denny's. She's a lovely person.
Yes.
We met with her in Chicago just before COVID-19 hit.
Is that right? Is that right? Dr. Sonia Marks, who is a friend to the Tom Jordan Morning Show and to us here on What You Need to Know newsletter, a wonderful physician, OBGYN in Atlanta, is a proud AKA, and my godmother was also an AKA, and just know that we are just really, really so proud of you, Dr. Glover, and
Oh, thank you so much.
you. You're just such an inspiration, and I mean, from the sisterhood aspect as well as from the collegiate aspect with Tennessee State, we just so proud and just really, really grateful that you joined us here today on What You Need to Know, and really hope that we can do this again and encourage the folks to continue to support you and all that you do. And as I said, if there's anything we can do here at What You Need to Know, we are right there with you. Absolutely.
Very good. I appreciate that so much. It's an honor to be here to speak with you. I always enjoy talking to you. You always make me laugh, you know.
Well, you know what? That's a part of Tom Joyner too. We like to entertain and inform and empower. So that is what we strive to do. I thank you for being a part of a really dynamic week. We've had a really great week, and you have now taken us to another level. And tomorrow we will have the Sigmas and the president there, President Crystal, as well as a good Sigma man himself. That would be one J. Anthony Brown will be in attendance with us tomorrow. So
you're gonna have a great show tomorrow.
well, we had a great show today, so I thank you for that. And as I said, whatever we can do to help you and to spread the word, please
We'll definitely be in
let
touch.
us know.
Thank you so much.
I got one last question, Dr. Glenda.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Is the Southern Heritage Classic been canceled?
It has not been canceled. We don't know.
Right.
It's kind of in the air. We're just trying to see where we're going to be with the whole football season.
Right.
We follow the Ohio Valley Conference. We follow the rules of NCAA, and we kind of look and see out of one of our eyes what's going on with NFL. And so we're just trying to see. We don't want to cancel any of the football games. There's so much fun, so much excitement with the football game and the band, and because we got the best band in the land, and we're so glad to be. There may be a handful who may disagree with me.
So, Dr. Glover, before you go, if people want some more information about the AKAs and how they can be a part of it or be a part of whatever you are doing, how can they get more information about you guys?
AKA1908.com.
AKA1908.com.
All of our programs are listed, and all the contact information is on.
And Tennessee State, if they are interested in attending?
Just call me personally. No, it's Penn State. TN for Tennessee, tennstate.edu.
Got it.
Yeah.
Tom, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your history with the AKAs, as well as your love for Dr. Glover, and we know that, and all the great things that she's doing. So,
and your favorite brother will tell you hello.
Thank you so much.
I live with, so and tell you hello.
Oh, that's so nice. Thank you so much. I know that you have an event coming up, Dr. Glover, so we're going to sign off now. And Tom, we will talk to you tomorrow. And I don't know if people are ready for this, but it's going to be the return of Tom, Jay, and Sybil here on this YouTube channel. So it'll be interesting to see, and hopefully we'll get some information about the Sigmas as well. Please go to SybilWilkes.com or subscribe here. As you see, you can click the link in the description box, and we would love to have you as a subscriber to the What You Need to Know newsletter. Are you subscribed, Dr. Glover? Are you subscribed to the What You Need to Know newsletter?
We are.
Okay. Thank you. I don't mean to put you on the spot or anything.
I get everything. So,
don't you love it? Don't you love it, Dr. Glenda? It's good, huh?
It's excellent. In fact, I put a plug in for it. I mean, it's one of my favorites. And
oh, yeah.
It's a family thing for us. My husband and I both. I mean, we just love it. And my daughter. And so
I appreciate that.
It's one of my family treasures. So we appreciate what you all are doing.
And the door is always open for you to come back, Dr. Glover. Anything you want to share with us, we would love to have you back.
Well, thank you so much.
Okay, thanks so much, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. We will see you tomorrow as we salute the Sigmas, and it's been a wonderful day with the women of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority, and of course, they're lovely Tom Joyner. We appreciate all of that. You all have a good evening. Be careful. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.